Hello, and today Great.com talks with Brian E. Dean, who is the president and CEO of Jersey Cares. Hello, Brian, how are you?
Hey Ryan, I'm good. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. So, people that's listening, if you haven't heard of them, they are a non-profit organization that provides individuals with a wide variety of volunteer opportunities. So just before we dive in, if you're new here and you like this podcast, please click subscribe on YouTube or on your podcast app, because today we learn the positive impacts volunteer work has on local communities. So, Brian, thank you for coming. And could we just start by introducing what and who is Jersey Cares and what do you do?
Sure. Um, in a nutshell, very simply, we help people make a difference. It is sometimes a daunting prospect when you think about doing something positive for the world, trying to figure out how you'd like to get involved and make a difference. And one of the barriers to doing that is that not all nonprofits have a volunteer manager or even a plan for how they might use volunteers. So say, for example, you're very interested in homelessness and you want to go help out at a homeless shelter and you don't know where to begin with that. You can call around to homeless shelters. Some of them may have volunteer coordinators, some of them may not. If they do, you may have to go through a lengthy training in order to be allowed to participate in the programs and help. So with Jersey Cares, we work with the nonprofits and help them think about how they can use volunteers. And then we recruit volunteers and plan and manage the projects for the volunteers. So the nonprofits have their capacity supported by a guarantee that a certain number of volunteers are going to be there on a regular basis and led by a Jersey Cares trained volunteers. The volunteers who are coming get the option to only commit to one day. You can look at our calendar. In normal times, we have about 350 projects every month that someone can go and volunteer on. And you choose what you want to do. And you're only committing to that one day for a few hours. And if you like it, you can come back. If you don't, you can try something else. So you have the opportunity to volunteer for a homeless shelter on this Thursday. And then you're free 2 Saturdays from now. You can volunteer at an animal shelter. And then the next time you can go play bingo with seniors who don't have any visitors. So it's a wide spectrum of opportunities for our volunteers that makes it very easy for them to get an entree into making a difference without the commitments and the barriers that they have.
Wow, I really love that. And what I picked up on that was about you saying that the volunteering is just for the one specific day. So could you just dive a little bit more into that, just so I know? So say, for
Sure.
instance, if I wanted to come along and volunteer, would I volunteer one day and then would it be I can come back another day to try something else? Like, if you could dive further into that, I'd love to hear.
Sure, it's very flexible for you. In this day and age, pre-COVID and during COVID, schedules are very up in the air. Everybody's schedules change. They change week to week. You can't really say when you're going to be available. So it's difficult to make a commitment to go back to a place, say, every Saturday for the next 6 months, which might be a requirement of a nonprofit. Or it might be difficult to arrange something last minute when you realize that you have some time 2 days from now and something's cleared on your calendar. So it keeps it flexible for you. So you as the volunteer can build it into your schedule whenever and however it works for you. But we, as Jersey Cares, work with the nonprofit to determine what it is that they really need done. So we'll train a volunteer to go to that project every time it occurs and lead the volunteers. So that nonprofit's guaranteed that the work is getting done every time. They don't have to retrain all the volunteers. Our trained volunteer does that. So you have the opportunity to just go and make a difference. And it is impactful because we've already worked all that out and your time is well spent. And probably if you don't go back to that, it's not because you don't have a bad experience. It's probably not because you had a bad experience. It's probably because you want to try something else. So if you decide next time you want to go and work with children on their math studies, you can do that instead of the homeless shelter and figure out what it is that you, as a person who wants to make a difference in the world, really find that resonates with you. Once you find that, then you're on your track to finding your passion, right? And that's what we want. We want people to be involved. We want people to find what really speaks to them and what they care about, and be able to do it on the level that they like. And all of our projects have an opportunity for growth. So if you go and you're working with seniors who are fairly isolated, maybe in a group home, and you're creating activities to engage them and try to pull them out and get them to socialize a little bit and be more active in their world, then you can go back to that project a few times, and then maybe you want to take on running that project, and you want to be the liaison for Jersey Cares, working with that senior home to plan the activities, or think of new things that they could do, or hey, maybe we could bring in like a low impact Zumba instructor to come and work with the seniors, and you can take that on and find that opportunity to really get involved in a deeper way. So it's an exciting way for the volunteer to get their feet wet, if they've never volunteered before, and it's an exciting way for the experienced volunteer to find new opportunities to find deeper ways to create impact.
Wow, I really, really love that, because like you say, it's about enjoying the experience for both sides, for both parties, because they're not going to want to come back if they didn't enjoy that experience. So it's great that they can just go there to try the one day, like you say. They're not committed themselves for a full week or a month, etc.
That is why Jersey Cares was established, because we wanted to ensure the quality of the volunteer experience. The number one feedback from volunteers across the board, not Jersey Cares volunteers, but volunteers in general, is that the volunteer experiences are not very rewarding. Their time is wasted. The staff wherever they went to volunteer wasn't prepared for them. And we take that piece out of it, because we work with the nonprofit ahead of time and provide that trained volunteer who's leading the project. So our goal is to have people coming back. I have a friend who calls it building better humans. And that's what we're hoping people will do. They'll find that spark that really speaks to them and starts them on a path of contributing and service.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because I'm sure you've had many people that have come and they volunteer once and then they almost get hooked to it, and then they want to carry on volunteering. So a question would be, have you had individuals that have stayed with you for X amount of time? It could be like a year, a few years, etc.
Sure. My favorite example of that is who was our volunteer of the year on our 25th anniversary a couple of years ago. He was a volunteer coordinator of a particular project at a soup kitchen, serving meals to the public in 1993, when Jersey Cares first got started. And he heard about it when the founders first started it. It was one of the first projects we ever did. And he has been there for 28 years now, leading that project as the Jersey Cares project coordinator. And his name is David German. I'll give him a shout out right now. He's a fantastic example of what happens when someone finds their passion, and he takes that on. Like, he is the liaison for Jersey Cares with that organization, and finds ways for us to be helpful. So yes, to your question, there are definitely those people out there, and someone who lasted 28 years is one of the best examples of that.
I absolutely love that answer again, because it's made me feel so warm inside and so happy, because people can just go to help other people, volunteer, and then they enjoy it that much that they stay there for 28 years. I'm 28 years old, so that person has gone there to volunteer the whole of I've been alive. So
Exactly.
I love that. It's so nice to hear. So
yeah, we have there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there are a lot of touch points for people to get involved. That public calendar of opportunities is one way in which, and it's our primary way in which we engage people. We've also found that a lot of people prefer to engage in less ways that engage less with us and nonprofits, but ways that they can do at home or they can do with their friends. So we've established a lot of drives for products. So for example, we have a school supply drive, and we collect supplies for school children, and people sign up to run that supply drive through maybe their women's organization they're a part of, maybe their Girl Scout troop, maybe just at their house with a box on their porch, and they advertise it to their neighbors. But we put it out there for people to register and collect supplies for kids, and then at the end of the drive, just bring it to us. So it's a way for them to engage where they are in the organizations that they're a part of, but do something really meaningful. So for example, this year, we thought with COVID, it was going to be really difficult to get people to focus on collecting school supplies for kids. And you might think that school supplies weren't very needed because kids were at home, they weren't in school. It was needed more than ever because especially in lower income communities, schools happen to have extra pencils and erasers and the kinds of things that kids would need. And since this year they were all at home, they didn't have any of those things. So we had a higher demand than usual. And we were able to take backpacks and stuff them. I mean, stuff them full of supplies for 3,565 kids. So it was a real response to a real need that the people in New Jersey really responded to and came through. And it made a huge difference for over 3,000 kids who had supplies for the school year.
That's incredible, because so many people just think because of this whole lockdown situation with the COVID, that obviously children haven't been going to schools. And like you say, this is when the charities and the non-profits are most needed, because these children are at home without the supplies. So without the supplies, they couldn't learn and educate themselves, or with their parents, loved ones learning. So yeah, it's incredible to hear that you guys are behind the scenes working and getting those supplies out to the children that are in need. So one of the questions would be, or the next question would be, sort of anybody that say sat on the fence, as to say, or thinking I would love to get involved and volunteer my services to help other people. What piece of advice would you say to these people that may be thinking whether they want to join in with this organization or not?
Go to Jersey Care's website and see what speaks to you. We try to meet people where they are. That's what we always say. We're not trying to force anybody to be the next leader of any movement. We would just like to give you the opportunity to go out and just start volunteering if that's where you are, or develop curricula for kids in a tutoring program if that's where you are. But we want to give everybody that option. So if someone's thinking about jumping into volunteering, think about what it is that made you think about that to begin with. Is if it's a particular issue, if it's a particular need, it's something you saw on the news, whatever it is that's motivating you or giving you that little prompt to go try something, follow that. Like follow your instinct, and follow your heart to be, to use a common phrase. It's only going to work if you're feeling motivated to do what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons we give people so many options, because you can try some things like, oh, I didn't love that as much as I thought I would. I'm also really passionate about animals. I'm gonna go work with animals now, and then I'm feeling really like I want to do something about the climate. I'm gonna go work on public green spaces now. So follow that instinct that you have. Don't force it. Do what you feel comfortable with. It's going to grow as is at the right pace and in the right place for you.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear, because it's almost like people can be so overwhelmed with choice. Like you say, they could want to go down climate change. They could want to help something to do with animals. So with Jersey Cares, the options are there. So they just reach out to you, and then I guess you guys connect them with the non-profit. So what would be the process of, say, connecting a volunteer with the non-profit? Like how do you match them both up?
Oh, it's very simple. On our website is a menu of all of the projects. You can either search by a keyword, you can search for seniors, or you can pull up a calendar and it'll show you what's going on each day. You can just scroll through them because you're available on a particular day. At that point, if you're not registered as a Jersey Cares volunteer, you just sign up. There's no charge. And then you can sign up for the project. You'll get several reminder emails to prompt you when it's time to go to the project. then afterward, we'll email you a feedback form, ask you if you want to do it again, and kind of give you the opportunity to do it the way you want. But it's very, very simple.
And that's what people love, simplicity. So that's great to hear that you guys have it so easy where people can just have it with clarity. They see what they want. They have all the options there. So that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you actually was for the volunteers that are taking part in obviously volunteering, and what impact does this have on developing each of the individuals' skill sets, and how can they implement these skills in the future?
Oh, interesting question. Well, you have the opportunity to choose the type of volunteer project. So if you're interested in developing a particular skill, certainly you can do that. We have an entire program that works with corporations, which is about 50% of the volunteers that we engage. So a lot of our corporate partners come to us looking for leadership development opportunities for their employees. So we can bring them together, leadership building, team building. We're looking right now at mapping the tasks of each individual project to key deliverables or key measurement factors that companies have in their human resources performance appraisals, so they can see which ones tie in best to their goals for their employees. So that opportunity to develop the skills for the volunteer is definitely there, just in addition to developing their own interest in doing it. So pre-COVID, we engaged about, it was getting close to 20,000 volunteers in 2019. We don't have quite as stringent a lockdown situation right now as you do, but we're still doing most of our projects virtually. So during the last year, we had to switch and move most of our projects to an online format. And surprisingly, that's gone really well. When people are used to getting out and doing things in a very tactile way, we weren't sure if they were going to respond to the online workshop opportunity, but we have developed a very broad menu of workshops for children that are conducted with children online. And it runs the gamut, everything from hunger understanding to Black history. We even have garden kits. We'll mail out the supplies to the volunteers. So there are a lot of remote opportunities. Even the drives I was talking about, we've set up Amazon wish lists so everybody can go and just purchase things instead of having to collect things at their house. So that transition to virtual has been something that we think is going to stick with us for a while, even after everybody's back to doing things in person. It's a great opportunity for people to volunteer from where they are, at their desks or at home or without having to leave the house. So it actually developed our skills a little bit, that we got forced into a position to develop an entirely new format for volunteering.
Again, I love that because it goes back to making things easier, not only for you guys, but for the volunteers themselves. So yeah, that's amazing to hear. And just going off the back of that, what has been, since you guys have been started, I believe you said 1993, what has been, say, one or maybe two of your biggest struggles since you've been running?
The last year hasn't been one of my favorite years. If we're talking about struggles, having to completely adapt to a new format of volunteering. And given that most of our funding comes from our corporate partners who are volunteering with us, when they initially pulled back and no one was doing any volunteering and no one knew what to do, that was a financial struggle for us. So I would say that was one of our biggest struggles. When I came to Jersey Cares in 2006, I think that from 1993 to 2006, the largest our staff had been was 5 people. And when I started, I was the only employee. So kind of taking it from an organization that didn't have much of a reputation or resources to work with, and just having a few projects that were functioning, the meal service program I told you about being one of them, and building it from there I would say establishing that credibility at the very beginning was one of the biggest challenges, but no one ever questioned the methodology. When I would explain to people what we were planning to do, they all got it. They got it like you get it. So it was easy to start building that credibility, but it was a long haul. It took some a lot of conversations and a lot of work to get there.
I'm sure it did. And just as we're wrapping up, Brian, what is your vision with Jersey Cares?
The beautiful thing about what we do is it's entirely scalable. If someone came to us with $100 million tomorrow, we would know exactly what to do with it. All of our programs can grow just like they are. They all work beautifully. And our vision is just to keep engaging more volunteers, keep inspiring more people, keep helping people find their light and helping them shine it in the world.
It's beautiful. It's so wonderful to hear that. Like people like you and organizations like you are doing this to have such positive impact on the world. So I just want to say thank you for today. And anybody that's watching this and wants to get involved, Brian, what is the best way for them to get involved and help out?
Go right to our website, www.jerseycares.org. We also own the .com and the .net, so if you get it wrong, you'll probably still end up on our website. All of our social media is very active, so you can find us on social media as well. They're easy to find. We're Jersey Cares everywhere. So please feel free, follow us on social media, see what we're doing, come to our website, check out the volunteer projects that we have available. And if you're a corporation, let us know you'd like to be a corporate partner, and we could plan some projects for your employees. Lots of ways to get involved and also very easy.
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what happens with Jersey Cares. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate Great.com for giving us this opportunity to get the message out about what we're doing. It's a really great service that you are providing to the community as well. So thanks for that.